This baseball season, take a swing at picking sports with Underdog. Playing on their app is as easy as choosing higher or lower on a player's stats like strikeouts, home runs, hits, and more. Get all those picks right, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Millions of fans have already won billions on Underdog. Will you be next? Get in the game and find out by signing up for Underdog today using promo code ROUTE to claim a gimme pick as part of your first cash entry. Plus, up to $1,000 in bonus credits when you deposit. Cash in on every home run this season with Underdog. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona and Massachusetts, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Red Wings are like 3 of their last 13 or some shit.
Nice. So wild.
They're so bad.
Alrighty. So we are back on another Wisco Fanatics Tuesday night. We're back to part 3 of our draft series. And today we are going through linebackers. So today we're each going to give our top 10 linebackers. We each have 2 to highlight. Keep in touch. Next week is our part 4. We are doing defensive line and edge. And then 2 weeks from now, we have corners. And the week of the draft, that Tuesday night, we are doing live mock drafts. So we're going to hit the intro, and we're going to start talking linebackers.
Welcome to another live episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we discuss the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, Badgers football, and basketball from an optimistic perspective. Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
Alrighty, so we've been doing our draft series from bottom to top. So we have 10 linebackers each, so we're going to start at linebacker number 10. Simon and Bryant have both gone first for something, so let's go to Jake. Jake, you can go first for linebackers. Hit me with your number 10 linebacker.
My number 10 is actually my first guy. It's Kobe King out of Penn State. He's 6'1", 245, ran a 4.6, 940. He comes in as a guy who's elite versus the run. He has really good hands, and he has an aggressive first step. He's a downhill thumper mentality. He's kind of just a 2-down linebacker, which is why he's number 10 on my list. He's always around the football, which is why he snuck onto my list, actually, because, you just like those guys that are always around the ball, especially linebackers. He doesn't have top straight line speed. Get beat to the edge a couple times versus quicker competition, quicker running backs, and wide receivers on some end arounds. And his cover skills are a work in progress. But if you're looking for a guy that's just going to come in and give you 2 downs of elite run-stopping football, he's your guy, in my opinion.
All right, Bryant, who's your number 10?
Jeffrey Bassa.
All right. Simon, who's your number 10?
So I'm dumb. I did 15. Why not?
All right,
All right. Number 10 is actually my guys too. It's Smile Mondin. So he's 22 years old, 6'3", 6'2". It kind of just depends on where you look. Some people list him really small, and
it's all inconsistent. The weight, the height, they're all going to be different.
So it just depends on where you look. But if you look at him, he's kind of like a smaller stature guy. But he's an athlete. He has elite explosiveness. He's 97th percentile in the broad jump, 95th percentile in the 10-yard split. He has really good speed to stick in man coverage with tight ends, and he's a great tackler with a missed tackle rate of 5.2%, which is damn near at the top. Like I said, he's a little smaller, and he's a little slow on processing the play, make him late on some plays, and he also has a small injury history worth noting.
All right. Number 10 is where I have Sean Dolak. So, Jake, who's your number 9?
That's where I have Jalen Walker out of Indiana.
Interesting. Bryant, who's your number 9?
I have Cody Simon out of Ohio.
Right? Yeah. I knew when that guy saw that guy's last name, I wasn't going to like him, so.
Understandable.
Simon, who's your number 9?
I have Kobe King, number 9.
All right. Number 9 is where I have Jeffrey Bassa. Jake, who's your number 8?
My number 8 is Jeffrey Bassa. I know
right.
somebody's going to talk about him later, but after you're done, just let me chime in real quick.
All right. Bryant, who's your number 8?
That's where I have Smail Mondon, who Simon talked about.
Justin, welcome back. Number 8, I also have Smile Mondon, so I'm just going to jump in on that quick. Simon, who's your number 8?
I have Danny Stutzman, number 8.
All right. Top 7. Jake, who's your number 7 linebacker?
That's where I have Danny Stutzman. I could have had him higher, but he's a little bit of an arm tackler.
All right. Steve said he's excited to hear the Brian Bosworth breakdown. Brian, who's your number 7?
Yeah, Chris Paul Jr. I heard he can really cross over defenders. So
Yeah, point God. Got to have a second career here. Simon, who's your number 7?
Number 7, I have Jeffrey Bassa, number 7. He's 22 years old, 6'2", 235. Kind of like Smile. He's a little smaller, so you'll see him anywhere between 6'1", 225, 6'2", 235. He's good in cover. He has good coverage instincts due to his background as a safety. He has good timing on his blitzes. He's not shy about getting dirty and really tries to drive through his tackles. And he only missed 5 tackles last year, which you love. Like I said, he lacks a lot of size to stand up to some offensive linemen. Sometimes he lacks the patience and runs past when he's the backside defender, and sometimes he can take inconsistent angles on outside runs.
Dang, you covered most of it. You did a good job.
All right.
I'm just going to give you some high school stats on him real
Here
quick.
we go.
Here we go.
I'm just kidding. No, I was going to talk about how he originally was a safety. So he's kind of the opposite of Kobe King, where he's like elite in coverage and he struggles sometimes in the run. He gets kind of washed up because he's a little bit smaller. So good job, Simon. You covered everything I was going to say.
Justin said he likes Mondon a lot. He watched him all year, and he's really good. Yeah, I think he's going to be in, at least obviously already in 3 of our top 10s. So this one might ruffle a couple feathers, but I have Barrett Carter at number 7.
It's your list, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not mad over
your
it.
list.
It's close where I got him.
in like top 5, top 3, even in a lot of places. So having him at number 7, honestly, like nobody picked him for their guy, but watching 3 Clemson games and like watching him against Georgia, South Carolina, like just a lack of splash plays. And then there was like several times where he's in the wrong spot versus the run, and we already have a guy who's got that problem once in a while, so I don't need another one. So I have Barrett Carter at number 7. Jake, who is your number 6?
Excuse me. That's where I have Carson Swessinger from UCLA.
Me too. Also have him at number 6. Brian, who's your number 6?
Yeah, this is my first guy. This is where I have Danny Stutzman. Like him a lot. Ran a 4.52. He's 6'3", 233 pounds. He had a RAS score, a relative athletic score of 9.71. So there's only 2 linebackers that had higher than him. He was pretty close to what Jahad Campbell, who I'm sure will have higher on our list, was right there too. Jahad Campbell. So strong instincts and play recognition. He just reads and adjusts instantly to what his keys tell him. So that tells me he can read the play and see what's going on. Strong in the run game and run game recognition. When I was watching him, I was thinking, well, that could be a potential McDuffie replacement. I just don't think he'll fall far enough. I think you'd have to reach like the 5th round for us to take a linebacker, especially because we kind of still have to figure out who we have in Tyrone Hopper, and Tyrone Hopper is very explosive linebacker as well. So slippery and can move through traffic pretty smoothly. Come off the blocks and make the tackles in the gap, but he doesn't need to be more consistent with that, getting out the blocks. He probably could afford to add a little strength because he is 6'3" and only 233 pounds. So he's a little thinner. He's still built, but will contribute on special teams right away. He has coverage ability to make to play man against tight ends and running backs, and the awareness to play zone. He doesn't have the great change of direction, so it will hurt him in longer coverage or deeper zone if he if he gets stuck in that position. He needs to learn to have better spacing in that, because he will get caught flat-footed. So on those quick crosser routes or something like that, he's going to get burnt a little bit. He has good speed, but you're not going to be catching up to someone that's, running across your face. So he just got to, play with more anticipation in those kinds of situations. Other thing I liked about him is he's a 4-year producer. He played as a freshman. He played as 10 games, had a sack, couple forced fumbles. In 2022, he played in 13, started all 13 games, had 10.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, 5 pass breakups, and 125 tackles. Then in 2023, first team All Big Ten, led the team with 104 tackles, 16 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles. Started all 12 games, like I said, and then 3 sacks and interception that he returned for a touchdown on that too. So, and then in 2024, he was actually a finalist for the Buckets Award, which is Nation's top linebacker. He led the team with 110 tackles, only 8 tackles for loss and a sack, but he started 12 games again. So for me, he just has a lot of experience, and you can see he's either forcing fumbles or intercepting, just getting around the ball. So if he was to fall in the 5th round or something, I wouldn't hate taking a flyer on him.
Especially if they didn't already draft a linebacker in the class, and they're going to kind of rely on Quay and Cooper and Hopper. Steve said he's curious to see if the team drafts another one after Tyron Hopper only had 18 snaps last year. I think that's part of why they let Eric Wilson go, is to kind of free up some of those snaps for Hopper. I think they kind of just took the approach of letting Hopper get up to speed a little bit more last year. And now they're thinking, they're going to get Hopper a lot bigger role this year. They brought McDuffie back for depth and possibly drafting Quay Walker's replacement. So I think it's possible that the Packers draft the 1st-round linebacker, and I think it's possible that the Packers don't draft one until the 5th. I think all options are really on the table, and I think that's what a lot of their free agent moves in the offseason have done.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to get at too, is if Quay Walker gets priced out for us next year, they could take someone like this who's also going to remain explosive, lengthy, can play a little bit of coverage to pair with Edgerrin Cooper. So it wouldn't be 100% shocked if they took someone like this. And with Tyron Hopper potentially, theoretically stepping into Eric Wilson's spot, who Eric Wilson had quite a bit of snaps, then you need to turn around and replace what Tyron Hopper is doing. Yeah, we signed Christian Welch, and I know everyone loves him in the preseason and everything, but, you need competition. You can't just go, okay, we got Christian Welch, we're good. So
he's definitely a special teamer for sure. And I think that is basically what they're doing, is they're bringing him to be the Tyron Hopper, and they'll put Tyron Hopper into Eric Wilson's role. All right, Simon, who's your number 6?
Number 6, I have Chris Paul.
All right, here we go. Top 5 linebackers. Jake, who's your number 5?
I have Demetrius Knight Jr. I have to give him a shout out real quick because I love when guys make all academic teams. He was a 3-time ACC academic honors graduate from Georgia Tech. He had a degree in literature, media, and communication, so he graduated in 3 years. So I wanted to give him a shout out on that, man. That's awesome.
Nice. All right. Brian, who's your number 5?
Yeah, my number 5 is Barrett Carter.
All right. Simon, number 5.
I also have Barrett Carter 5.
All right. Number 5 is where I have my first guy, Jalen Walker from Indiana. He's 6'1", 218, so he's kind of on the smaller side, but with that, very fast. So he, Justin said if he's that smart, he's coachable. That's fair. With Jalen Walker being a little bit smaller, he doesn't have an RAS score because he didn't do the full testing at the combine, but at Indiana's pro day, he ran a 4.3840. So as a linebacker, that's very, very fast. Had 24 pressures and 3 sacks. Not a crazy amount, but 61 tackles, 36 run stops. Did have 13 missed tackles, which is a little high. But 41 out of 59 in coverage. That's 69.5%. Nice. Allowed 1 touchdown, had 2 interceptions, and 6 pass breakups at 75.7 NFL rating. So definitely one of the better coverage guys in the draft as far as linebacker is concerned. And I do think he's got some ability to be a block beater, especially on the edge. He's obviously really great in coverage, and I think he's capable against the run. So I think if he can build out his frame a little bit more, 6'1", like I said, is still a little bit small, but I think he's got some potential to be kind of cut from the same cloth as Edgerrin Cooper. Got a guy that can do a little bit of everything. So Jalen Walker is my number 5. Jake, who's your number 4?
That's where I have Barrett Carter.
All right. Bryant, number 4.
That's where I have Carson Schwetzinger.
All right. Simon, who's your number 4?
I also have Carson Schlesinger.
All right. That's it makes you feel like you have like a bunch of cotton swabs in the corner of your mouth when you say his
Yeah,
last
I
name.
hate saying his name.
Number 4, I have Jay Higgins. So if we leave this draft with a Jay Higgins, whether it's Jay Higgins the linebacker or Jaden Higgins the wide receiver, I'm happy. We can get one Higgins on this team.
I prefer the wide receiver.
All right, top 3. Jake, who is your number 3 linebacker?
I have Chris Paul Jr.
I like it. Bryant, who's your number 3?
Yeah, that's where I have Demetrius Knight Jr. and he's my next guy. Very explosive, around a 4'5", 6'2", 235 pounds. I know Jake said he graduated in 3 years, but he actually did play college for about 6 years across 3 different programs. So that he is 25, so that's a little knock on him there. So I have him high, but I still like his potential a lot. And one of the things that I like going to Draft Buzz. Obviously, we're not professional scouts. We do watch some tape and we watch and read from different sources, but sometimes I pull what they want to compare someone to. So Draft Buzz gave him a similarity grade of 93% to Edgerrin Cooper. So I mean, if they're right in that's pretty nice. He is D'Angelo Hall's cousin, who was a very, very successful NFL player for many years. Cool. He has a strong build, built for playing in the box, described as a classic Mike linebacker. Reads and reacts to the play design quickly with good control, good with his hands, and so he can shed blocks. We'll run through the ball carrier and wrap up when he tackles. Oh, that was one thing I forgot to say about Danny Stutzman. Sometimes he tries to arm tackle people too much. That's not going to work in the NFL. Whereas Demetrius Knight Jr., he'll run through them. So he's able to drop in the zone and read the QB's eyes. He does lack in lateral and short quickness a little bit, so he's going to have to rely on his ability, his instincts to quickly read the play to make sure he gets to where he needs to be. However, there's times that it's almost like and we've seen this with some of our players. We've seen this with Quay Walker a little bit. Is they almost they don't trust their eyes and they almost try to analyze too much, and it stops them from making a play. So he just needs to trust what he's seeing and go make the play. If he doesn't get better at a little bit of, and this is why I maybe he's not going to be Edgerrin Cooper, but if he doesn't get better at, zone coverage a little bit, I do think he could end up being a 2-down linebacker. Not saying that those don't have a lot of value, especially if they're good against the run like he is. So, I did put him higher on my list because I just think his ceiling is pretty high if he can fully reach his full potential. So a couple stats. Other thing is he played 6 years and across 3 programs, but he really only started for 2 years. So that's a little concerning me. But in those 2 years in Charlotte, first team All-American athletic conference, led team with 96 tackles, 3 interceptions, 5.5 tackles for loss, a sack and a half. He returned 1 for a touchdown for the interceptions, and he had 4 pass breakups. And then in 2024, he forced another 3 fumbles, played in 13 games with 10 starts, 2 tackles, a couple sacks, and an interception again. So I just really like his traits if he can put it all together. So
he's my number 11, so he's just off my list.
Yeah, and probably because you've probably seen a lot of stuff I was saying, but I'm kind of hoping that he reaches his full potential.
Yeah, yeah, that's why we have 4 of us on here, and that's why we have a consensus. So we get a mix of kind of everything, different perspectives, which is something that we try to encourage is having multiple perspectives. So that's why we have 4 of us on here. So Simon, who is your number 3 linebacker?
Demetrius Knight Jr.
Excuse me. My stuff, Simon.
Number 3 is where I have Jelon Walker from Georgia.
Okay. Huh.
All right, Jake, who is your number 2?
That's where I have Jelon Walker from Georgia. He is my second and final guy. He has really, really powerful hands. He does a good job punching, extending his arms. He has nice long arms. He does a nice job with gap responsibility. And he uses those long arms and powerful punch to scan where ball handlers are. His 4.5 40 puts him in the 94th percentile in terms of speed. He is pretty good in coverage. He's better against tight ends from what I saw. Now, I don't watch the entire season or the entire 2 seasons of tape that he has available. But from what I saw, he did struggle a little bit against running backs. Now, when I tell you these stats, I want you guys to understand that he's working with Georgia, where they're just pumping out NFL linebackers every single season. So he's not getting 100% or even the lion's share of snap count as it goes for Jalen Walker. In 2023, he had 20 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, and 5 sacks. And that's unlimited playing time. 5 sacks on limited playing time is crazy. So he has an ability to rush the passer, which is something that I feel like the inside linebackers in this draft kind of struggle with, and he's probably the best at that, in my opinion. And then you go to 2024, where he got a bump in playing time. He had 60 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks, 2 passes defended, 2 fumble recoveries. 2024 Dick Butkus Award finalist. And I watched one whole game of his highlights, and that was Georgia at Texas, and he was absolutely the best player on the field for Georgia.
Yep.
7 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 3 sacks on the road. I mean, you're talking about playing against a top 3 team on the road when you need a win in that moment. The offense wasn't buzzing for Georgia either, and he absolutely was the star of the show.
How many guys did we bring up from Texas on last week's show?
That's what I'm saying, right?
4.
And more to come too.
4 guys that are going to get drafted this year, and he had
And
3 sacks
more to come too.
Yeah. And he was the best player on the field, I felt like, for a lot of that game. He was causing havoc. So pretty crazy that I'm talking this highly of him, and he's my number 2, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'll differentiate why I had him lower than the other one when we get to that. Steve said Goody had to take notice. I mean, they might as well be the Packers minor league team at this point.
Them in Philadelphia.
The color of the G. That's all it is. All right, Bryant, who is your number 2 linebacker?
That's where I have Jahad Campbell.
All right.
Ooh.
Simon, who's your number 2?
Jelon Walker.
All right. My number 2 is also Jahad Campbell. So we can go around. Jake, who is your number 1 linebacker?
I really want to talk about it, but I have Jahad Campbell. He's a
Same.
baller, dude. He's a baller. He reminds me of Brian Urlacher in a lot of ways, dude.
Bryant, who's your number 1 linebacker?
Jelon Walker.
All right. Simon, who's your number 1?
It's Jahad Campbell.
All right, so we can talk about him really quick. None of us picked him as our linebackers before I give my number 1, who is obviously not Jahad Campbell because he was my number 2. The reason that I moved him from 1 to 2 and put my other guy at number 1 is because Jahad Campbell, right after the combine, had a shoulder surgery for a torn labrum.
Yeah.
That was why I moved him down a spot. He, in my mind, he did have a little bit of slow reaction on some RPOs. But other than that, like, he's got really no holes in his game. Had a 987 relative athletic score, which is great. Good in coverage, good blitzing. He can cover running backs and tight ends. Good against the run. I mean, what you guys want to say about him? I don't see any holes in his game.
I'm gonna go before you real quick. Then I'm gonna let you put a nice little bow on it. Okay. The thing that really made him number 1 for me is he spent 20 plus snaps as a Mike Will and edge player versus Tennessee and Missouri. He did that twice last year. He's mega clutch. He had a game-changing strip sack versus South Carolina. He came up big versus LSU all game. He was probably the best player in the field for Alabama in that game. He had a scoop and score versus Tennessee, and he is really, really good against a quick passing game, which the Packers absolutely struggle with. And I was like, I can't not put this guy number 1. He would fit perfectly what the Packers need. Get rid of that quick passing game to the running backs or the tight ends. And I was like, dude, if they draft this guy, linebacker set for the next 15 years, dude.
Yeah. Simon and Bryant, what do you guys want to say on Jahad Campbell?
Go ahead, Simon.
You remember last year when we were talking about, like, if the Packers draft, or we're talking about like wide receivers and stuff, and we're talking about like how we don't really need them. But I was like, if they took Brian Thomas Jr., I'd be like ecstatic. Yeah. I feel that way about Jahad Campbell. Like, we don't necessarily need him, but if the Packers picked him, I would not be that upset with it.
I would be happy, dude. I'd be so happy. I'd be like, hell yeah, dude. We're gonna stop the run. Hell yeah.
I would fucking love it. Because then it wouldn't, like, it would be like, and this would be absolutely be like a Brian Gutekunst's future pick. Yep. Like, not something we necessarily need right now, but into the future, like, it's not like we'd have to hold on to like Quay Walker or like feel the need.
That's the exact thing. Is he could replace Quay next year if they let him walk.
Yep.
Yeah, for me, it'd just be
Go
it'd
ahead,
be an
Brian.
embarrassment. Sorry, it'd just
Go
be
ahead.
an embarrassment of riches if they did take him. Like if he fell to 23 or 24, whatever we're picking at
23 or 23.
and he's like the last player that we have a one-on-one grade on. We take him, and you put him, Quay Walker, and Edgerrin Cooper on the field together. We will have the most explosive, the fastest.
That would be nasty.
We would have the fastest and most explosive linebacking core in the NFL, easy. And if Jihad Campbell reaches potential and Edgerrin Cooper continues to develop, you're starting to look at like having a duo of like what San Francisco had for many years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and where it completely changes the defense. So people would be pissed if we drafted Jihad Campbell until the season started and they're like, what the hell? And then, you know what I mean? Like, because of course they want a wide receiver and stuff, but if you added him to that room, and you never know, we might even extend Quay Walker at that point for a couple of years because we still wouldn't have to pay Edge Cooper or Jihad for another couple of years. I mean, you could keep them together for 3 years and you could have a seriously nasty linebacker core.
Well, if you think about it, like, what if they do, I agree with what Simon said. I'd be so happy. Like, we're going to be at the draft on Thursday. I'd be like, hell yeah, dude. We'd probably be like the only, like, 3 people.
Yeah.
I'd be like, hell yeah, dude.
Everyone else is like, it'd be like
you
Houston
did draft
drafting
Alex.
JJ Watt.
It also
Yeah,
it would free Quay Walker up to rush the pat. Like
That's what I was going to say. Maybe you can get the most out of Quay Walker, having him just be a specialist in certain areas.
The question's answering itself. Steve asked if there's anybody that complements Edgerrin and Quay. I mean, you could take Jihad Campbell in the first round.
Dude, that'd be sick because all 3 of them can rush the passer pretty well.
Yeah.
and they're all
I
fast.
think Edge Cooper showed it a little bit last year too.
Oh, yeah.
And I trust Cooper and Campbell both in coverage. I mean, Quay can cover a little bit, but Cooper is definitely the coverage guy. And we saw last season, like you were just talking about, Quay Walker, he's got some pass rushing chops.
Yeah, it does.
That speed at the second level would just be disgusting. I mean,
so the last guy that I have, Jake mentioned his name already. My number 1 linebacker is Chris Paul Jr. I would have had him probably 2 if Jihad Campbell didn't have that shoulder surgery. That does freak me out a little bit. And there's not really a timetable on it because it's, so fresh. And obviously he's not going to be really talking about it anytime soon, probably up until the draft. So Chris Paul Jr. from Ole Miss, he's 6'1", 235. He's got more size on him than my previous linebacker, Jalen Walker. 743 relative athletic score is a little bit lower than something that the Packers would pick, definitely in the first round. But
Close your eyes and imagine what you'll look like 6 months from now. How's your hair look? The same? Now picture how your hair would look if you started using Hims. If you're picturing the same you as before, but with much thicker and fuller hair, you'd be correct. What can happen in 3 to 6 months? You could pick up a new hobby and get not that good at it yet. You could do about half of your New Year's resolution. You could learn a few songs on the piano or pick up bass guitar. Or you could start seeing thicker, fuller hair regrowth through Hims. Not bad for just 3 to 6 months. Men, if you're starting to notice your hair thinning when you look in the mirror, you're not alone. Life just gets busier and busier, and it can feel like there's not enough time in the day to do something about it. So, try Hims Hair Loss Solutions. You can avoid jumping through a bunch of frustrating hoops and get access to treatment without even leaving your home. Hims provides you with the convenient access to a range of hair loss treatments that work, all from the comfort of your couch. Hims makes treating hair loss simple with doctor-trusted options and clinically proven ingredients, like finasteride and minoxidil that can regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. Choose from personalized chewable, oral, spray, and serum treatments to find what works best for you. The process is simple and 100% online, so there are no uncomfortable doctor visits. Answer a few questions and a medical provider will determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment is sent directly to you for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Hims has hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, and they can help you get your confidence back too with visibly thicker and fuller hair. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/Hail Mary. That's HIMS.com/Hail Mary for your personalized hair loss treatment options. hims.com/Hail Mary. Results may vary based on studies on topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Prescription products require an online consultation with the healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
Shopify is a global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business and sell more with less effort thanks to the Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/redcircle, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/redcircle now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/redcircle.
This baseball season, take a swing at picking sports with Underdog. Playing on their app is as easy as choosing higher or lower on a player's stats like strikeouts, home runs, hits, and more. Get all those picks right, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Millions of fans have already won billions on Underdog. Will you be next? Get in the game and find out by signing up for Underdog today using promo code ROUTE to claim a gimme pick as part of your first cash entry. Plus, up to $1,000 in bonus credits when you deposit. Cash in on every home run this season with Underdog. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona and Massachusetts, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
I don't think Chris Paul would have to be picked in the first round. Had 24 pressures and 6 sacks, 8 quarterback hits in 2024, 73 tackles, only 4 misses, and had 54 run stops. So he's good rushing the passer. He's good against the run. And then in coverage, he did allow 27 receptions on 33 targets, which is 81.8%, which is high. When you consider the fact the linebackers play so close to the line of scrimmage, as long as he's keeping those things in front of him, I don't see that as a huge deal. And he allowed a 93.2 NFL rating, which is still slightly below average. So I do think he's got the versatility to be able to do all three things. Pass rush, play against the run, and play in coverage. David said Quay has some ability, continue to grow and mature. He needs to be used more to rush. And that's what we're at. That's what we're looking for in some of these linebackers is guys that have complementary skill sets to be able to do more things and not have to stick Quay in the middle because Cooper is hurt or because other guys are hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Samael said, go Pack, go Packers for life no matter what. Love that.
Agreed.
So the couple things with Chris Paul that really impressed me, obviously the versatility. He's got a great motor. He's very strong. And he has really good closing speed. So seeing him when quarterbacks leave the pocket, when he's playing one-on-one in space, being able to close that space and not get beat in space. That's a big thing we saw. Actually, we've seen the Packers have problems with it. Not so much in 2024 as in the previous couple of years under Joe Barry. They were better at it last year, but closing in space, especially against mobile quarterbacks, because now Caleb Williams, maybe not the greatest quarterback, but he can run.
And JJ McCarthy has pretty good legs.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking at playing against quarterbacks that can run, having a guy that can close and play in space is good.
There's one good thing.
Mentioned strength. He is strong enough to displace offensive linemen and still make the plays. This is something that's going to come up a lot next week when we're talking edge and defensive line. Mm-hmm. Being able to displace offensive line and still make tackles against the run, especially around the line of scrimmage, is going to be a big deal. I think Chris Paul Jr. is capable of it. And the last thing that I'll say on him, this impressed me so much that it brought him to my number one linebacker. There's a play against LSU where Chris Paul Jr., a ball gets batted into the air, and Chris Paul Jr. goes up, not to try to intercept it, but taps it to his defensive lineman as he's going up with one of the players from LSU and makes a super easy interception for his defensive lineman. Nothing goes in the stat sheet for Chris Paul on that play. That's something you will only see if you actually watch the tape, watch the games. It's such a heads-up play to not try to go up and jump with the other player, but to just tap it to your guy who's just sitting there wide open. So
he did a Brook Lopez replay.
It made such an impression on me. Like, when I was watching other players from LSU's defense, and then I see that play happen, and then I come back later to watch that game again to do the linebackers, and then be like, oh shit, that was Chris Paul that did that.
Huh.
So that really made a big impression on me. The heads up play, the football IQ that he showed on that play really stood out to me.
So Chris Paul with the assist, per usual.
Hey,
Ah,
hey, I like it.
well played.
He also had over
I'll put
300
that-
snaps
put that.
on special teams, so he could play. He played special teams as well, so he knows that area of the field as well. So Chris Paul actually he's a really interesting recruit.
Yeah, and 1,579 career snaps, so he's got some good experience. And I think to a point of not being like overworked either.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I did forget to say on Carson Schweschinger,
Yeah.
You're doing great,
is
man.
when researching him, I saw an interview where he says he models his game after Luke Kuechly, Mac Milano, Fred Warner, and Roquan Smith.
Those are some people to look up to. I will say that.
For sure. Yeah, Justin said like a pick and roll. Samael said Donovan Ezeraku, the defensive end from Boston College, will love if we get this player. Come back next week. Next week is going to be defensive line and edge. So next week is going to be definitely much longer than this week's show. We just had linebackers on this one, so just a quick hitter. Next week is going to be longer because we have 2 position groups. Last week we did offensive line, so we had 3 position groups. And then we're going to wrap it up, our draft series, with cornerbacks. And hopefully by then we have a little bit more news on Jair Alexander. As far as today went, the meetings are going on with coaches and GMs, and we got a little bit of clarity on some of the stuff that's going on with the Packers. Mainly that Elton Jenkins was confirmed to be moving to center. That's the big thing there. We're still a little bit unsure what's going to happen with Jair, so hopefully we get some answers on that. Then we have a bunch of rule changes coming to the NFL this season. So the main ones, the kickoff, the touchback is now moving to the 35-yard line. This is something we were kind of not in favor of.
So stupid.
I agree.
Back. Move the kicker back.
Move the kicker back. Yep.
This is not a hard thing.
It's instead of punishing them for doing what you don't want them to do, make it harder for them to not do the thing you want to do. Don't make the punishment stronger. Make the thing you don't want them to do harder to do.
Yeah.
Instead of penalizing them more for doing it. Like and here's the thing. My biggest thing with this, all right? My biggest thing with this is now in the last 10 years, you have taken the touchback from the 20 to the 35-yard line.
Almost
You're
double.
making it 15 less yards of offense that teams need to score when offense is what people want to watch.
Yeah.
People don't want to see as many kickoff returns as they want to see offenses. There's probably 10 guys, maybe 15 guys that can accurately throw the ball from the 35-yard line to the opposite end zone.
Yeah. Also, now you can hit a quick
taking away offense that people want to watch.
And with these kickers in the NFL, now you can throw an 18-yard slant on the first play of the drive and you're in field goal range.
Fucking A, dude.
It's stupid.
It's so dumb.
Kickers,
So
man.
dumb.
Stop
yeah.
moving the touchback farther out. Like I said, you're making less offense.
Yeah.
That's where people are watching the NFL. They want to see offense.
Yeah, you're kind of taking away some of the late game drama too. Like, imagine having a big time drive to like tie a game on the road in the playoffs, and the team, they kick the ball out of the end zone or whatever, and they get the ball to 35. Now, like Brian said, they only need to make 1 or 2 little passes, and then they can kick a field goal for a chance to win. Like, what is the excitement in that, dude? That's not exciting. You didn't earn anything.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking 25 yards, and you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Justin said, just leave the kickoff rule like it was originally. It was exciting, no offense, but the guys get paid millions knowing the possible consequences of playing the game. I mean, if you're looking at it, what's going to increase the amount of balls that land between the 20 and the end zone? I don't think penalizing them for not kicking it there is going to be the thing that increases that.
It's so easy just to put the kicker further back. It's not like it's people are, well, the kicker's a part of the tackling team. How often do you see a kicker? The only time you ever see a kicker come in on a tackle is if it's the last line of defense. So they're further back to be more of a defense. I just think it's so stupid to move it to the 35.
Yeah, I agree. Steve, I saw your comment and I am skipping it. I am not attempting to say this.
You can say it 5 times fast, Steve.
Suffering
Thanks.
Succotash Westinger.
All right, Brian said it once.
Also, back to Goody real quick, did you see that he did say that Morgan's going to have a chance to compete at left tackle? So
Yes, big
Yeah.
fan of that as well. There's
I think
plenty of possibility where Morgan starts at left tackle and Rasheed Walker becomes the swing and plays, the Yash Nyman role. I think it's possible that Morgan occupies that role this year and backs up basically 4 out of the 5 offensive line spots. And then next year starts at left tackle. I think all of those things are on the table. I would love if Jordan Morgan showed enough this offseason to win the job from Rasheed Walker.
Same.
That would make last year's first-round pick look like a slam dunk.
yeah, I'd also like if Rasheed Walker was just playing in Cincinnati and we took one of their players.
I'm
I
not
guess
going to
the question for
Jordan
me
Morgan would have to pan out for that to be worth it, though.
So Morgan was slated to start at right guard. They said that he has left tackle feet, so they're going to let him try left tackle. I guess the question for me is Walker better at left tackle than Ryan is at right guard? And the answer for me is yes. So then if you're putting the best 5 out there, you're putting Morgan at right guard, right? That's the best 5 then, correct?
I feel like Sean
Maybe.
Ryan
Is Morgan more talented than Ryan?
I think Ryan with more playing time has a chance to.
I'm
He got
fine
pushed
leaving
into
Ryan.
Jordan a lot, and I mean he does fine. Don't get me wrong, he's fine.
I'm not saying he's horrible, but you invested a first-round pick in Morgan, so he's gonna have to start eventually. Like he has to.
No,
start
I'm talking about Rasheed Walker, not playing, and Jordan Morgan being at left tackle and Ryan still being at right guard.
Yeah, but Walker, I don't feel like Walker was a problem at all. Like I thought he was actually really good last year.
Walker's not. I don't think either of them are a problem. They're kind of in the same tier for me.
Yeah,
Like they're good enough to start, but like neither of them are going to be like Pro Bowl players. Hopefully
Steve
not.
asked, did you guys hear an alternative to Walker being traded? It was proposed on Locked On Packers today, trading Elton. See,
Yeah,
okay.
You want to know why I don't listen to Locked On Packers? Yeah,
I don't listen to any of the Locked On shows.
Either do I.
I don't have a respect for them, just like I don't have a respect for any of the IKE shows.
Oh,
Like they literally just said that Elton Jenkins is going to be their starting center. This is not happening. And I know, Steve, that you were not suggesting this. You're just bringing it up that somebody else suggested it. This is not happening. Elton Jenkins is not getting traded. If anybody on this offensive line is getting traded, it's Rasheed Walker.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
don't think is going to happen.
It's just like also a depth issue too.
Yeah.
Right.
Who do we put at center if we trade Elton Jenkins?
Yeah.
Sean Ryan. Like, do you feel good about
Maybe.
that?
Yeah,
Locked on clickbait is what it should be called.
Also, I want to talk about
the Brewers guy. Like, there was a brief time where I listened to Locked On Brewers, and that was when Brandon Snide hosted it.
He's going back on there.
Respect for Brandon Snide because he started his shows right around the same time that we did.
Yeah.
So I have a very healthy respect for Brandon Snide. The dude that took over for him, that Chuck dude, I do not like him. He is negative. He is whiny. I do not care for it. And like Justin said, Locked On clickbait. There's other outlets that we've talked about, Wisconsin sports clickbait. We've discussed that as well. We really, really try to not make our stuff any sort of like speculative stuff.
Yeah.
Like we'll post some mock drafts, we'll do stuff like that. That's just kind of going through the process and saying how different things are going to look. We're not going to be putting stuff out there like that. That's just not happening at all, just for the sake of getting people to comment and stuff.
Yeah, for me, you don't trade Elton Jenkins because I do believe he could go be an all-pro center like Goody said. Rasheed Walker's fine. Don't get me wrong. He is adequate left tackle, but I think you can improve there. And if it ends up being Jordan Morgan beats him out and we can trade Rasheed and get something for him before we probably – but to trade him, you're going to have to get a third-round pick because he's probably going to get paid to be a third-round comp pick anyway. So that's where I would start the trade at, in my opinion. And
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Steve said from a dollar standpoint, the cost of keeping Rasheed or an aging Jenkins, it's similar. But I just don't think that there's a skill comparison there. Elton Jenkins, in my mind, is a far better either guard spot or center than Rasheed Walker as left tackle.
I mean, Jenkins has played tackle, guard, and center for us. I mean, he's an elite player. So there's no way in hell I'm getting rid of Jenkins.
He's 29 years old.
Yeah, and offensive linemen can last in this league too.
I mean, Trent Williams is what, 38?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Apham said, hopefully we don't draft another hybrid offensive lineman. I mean,
That's what the Packers. We just talked about that last week. Like the Packers, the Packers will either draft a player that, Josh Myers was a pure center. They'll either draft a pure center or draft a tackle and turn him into a guard. The last time the Packers drafted a guard only, I don't even remember. I can't. I forgot to look it up. It's been a long time.
Probably the 80s, to be honest with you.
And, well, I mean, Apham, the thing is that it's rare that the rookies start.
Yeah.
That's what gives them the ability to kind of cycle through them and keep the ones that are great at what they do.
Yeah.
And, you know, having the positional versatility is something that the Packers do prioritize because it gives them the opportunity to move guys around should somebody get injured.
Yeah.
Calais Campbell is a unicorn too. Like,
yeah.
He's also 6'8", so that's crazy.
Yeah, those mocks that I was doing earlier, like for example, like Miles Frazier fell to the 5th round, like, and that's why I took Miles Frazier. Like, if there's someone they really like in the 4th, 5th round, they're going to take him.
And 4th, 5th round, you're throwing darts at a dartboard anyways.
Yeah,
like you're not drafting win now players in the 4th round.
Yeah, I feel like
if that's what you're getting at, that like in the 1st round, hopefully we don't draft another offensive lineman. I think you're safe from that.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to do that for sure.
Now, if like somehow like the guy out of Mississippi or Will Campbell or something somehow fell to
Will Campbell's there in the 1st round.
23. Yeah. That's not like you're not upset about that. You take it and you just move on with your life, and you have a starting left tackle for another 12 years.
Yeah. Ephraim, we were talking about today. We did linebackers. We like the idea of drafting Jahad Campbell in the 1st round, and having 3 insanely athletic linebackers. That would be very interesting. We did our first show of the draft series was wide receivers. If there's ever been a year for a 1st round wide receiver, this could be it. The Packers have been quite interested in Tedero and McMillan. They were the only ones at his pro day. So there's some interesting things going on. And I think the moves that Brian Gutekunst has made in free agency really gives the Packers a lot of flexibility. So next week, we're going to be talking about defensive line and edge. The defensive line is a super deep class. So there's a lot of options for the Packers. Could be an edge rusher, something else that they could use more of. So there's a lot of options and a lot of flexibility, and I think we're going to see a best player available type draft from Brian Gutekunst that will still fit their needs because they have a handful of them, and it's lined up fairly well with their needs for what's deep in this class.
Yeah, I think speaking of like edge rushers, I think Gutekunst's comments about like what did he say? I can't remember his exact wording, but
yeah, he basically said they didn't feel like edge was that big of a need. They didn't have to reach for it. Essentially, is what I think he was getting at. I think for one, they fired their defensive line coach, who it seems like he couldn't get nothing out of it. Yeah, it seems like, and it sounds like it just keeps getting worse. Like people were not impressed with him. So I feel like unless someone that we really want drops to us, I don't think that you might not see a one draft until the 3rd or 4th round.
I think
range too.
I think it's kind of the opposite, though. To me, I didn't read. First of all, I didn't read into the full like what exactly he said or anything, but like that could also just be like GM speak. Like he's not tipping his hand, and he's also not like disparaging his own players at the same time. And then if he does draft one in the 1st round, or he like trades up or whatever the case is, then it's like, oh, we really love this player where he was at the top of our board and we just couldn't miss out on him. Or something like that. So, like, I don't know. I think people looked way too far into it, and they were like, "Oh, our edge room is so fucking garbage." I don't know. Not chasing edge. That's what it was, Steve. Thank you.
Issue, in my opinion, our defense could be solid with more DBs. And 2 weeks from today, we're going to do corners. So we'll have a cornerback episode. Obviously, we're not drafting any more safeties because Gutekunst was like, safety's no longer a problem, guys. We're going to sign Xavier McKinney and then draft 3. And 2 of them will turn out to be really good right away.
Last thing I want to bring up too is everyone, when it originally came out, was that Green Bay was wanting to ban the tush push. Oh, that's weak. That's whatever. Well, guess what? 16 other teams came out and voted in favor of that. What that tells me is that we were the ones that said, hey, this is probably not, whatever. You can have your opinions about it. My problem is that I feel like it's a penalty every time. I feel like they're in the neutral zone almost every time, So, and the offensive line's allowed to dive at knees. And so, I just wanted to say it was a 50-50 wash right now. So everyone that was ragging on the Packers for there's other teams that were thinking it too.
So Jake and I had a conversation about this today.
Yep.
And basically the thing is you can't do the exact same thing on the defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
They stopped allowing players from the defense to push other players from the defense because of injury risk. And now offenses are doing it, and it's supposed to be okay. And Matt LaFleur and Sean McVay have both said it's more like a rugby play than a football play.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it. Like, it's a scrum in rugby. They literally line up in a triangle shape, which is what they're doing with the tush push.
Well, it's almost like a rugby play, but in rugby, both sides get to push each other.
Exactly.
Where in this case, it's the offense who has the advantage.
Yeah.
And the thing that really bothers me is the Eagles fans that are like, well, it works because Jalen Hurts squats 600 pounds. Okay, then do a quarterback sneak and tell me how good that works. Don't have him have 2 other people who squat 400 pounds behind him pushing. And I wanted to laugh. Like, I like A.J. Dillon. He's a nice guy and all. But when I was in this argument with this Eagles fan, he said, no, it's no worry. If they ban it, we have Saquon Barkley and A.J. Dillon to pick up the 1-yard gains. Buddy, you are in for a world of hurt when A.J. Dillon trips for a 1-yard run, dude, on a 4th and 1. You're going to be fucking livid, dude.
Yeah.
But
also, Justin brought up jumping on the line on a field goal. They stopped that because injury risk too.
Yeah.
The last thing I'm going to say, and I said this to Tyler on the phone. Okay, if the Eagles are so good at it, let's let the D tackles move in. Let's let the linebackers push the D tackles into the offense. And when we have 6 quarterbacks that are on IR and we're getting a shitty product on Sundays, and this billions and billions of dollar product, and these 6 backup quarterbacks are playing, we're getting a shitty product, then people will want to ban it because quarterbacks have broken necks and broken legs and broken hands. That's when something will change.
Last thing I want to say about it is I think Nick Sirianni, well, we all know he's a douche. But to come out and basically say that, like Kellen Moore only has a head coaching job because of this play. Kellen Moore was a dude before he came to Philly.
Dude, Kellen Moore has been doing good on offenses since he was in Dallas.
He is such a loser to come out and say that about 3 of his coordinators that got hired. And then the only other thing I can think of is if they don't ban it, what's going to happen is the team's finally going to look at their linebacker and say, as soon as they line up into it, I want you to run. I don't care that we're going to get the 5-yard penalty because they're going to get the first down anyway because it's almost impossible to stop. And I want you to put your shoulder right into Jalen Hurts' top of his head or something and just get the penalty that way. Because
there's going to be malicious intent at some point. Somebody's going to end up getting hurt. It's going to be a bad look for the league. And it's going to be like, well, now everybody thinks Green Bay's smart because we're the first ones that were brave enough to bring it up and talk about it.
It's going to get to a point where something like you just said is going to happen. And then they're going to be like, why didn't they ban this 2 years ago?
Yeah. Because you take the biggest idiot, on the defensive side and say, just torpedo dive over it and just smoke him right in the top of the head at this point.
Hell yeah,
and as bad as that sounds, it's going to happen. You know what I mean?
90s basketball. So Justin brought up something that I said to Jake today too. That it's basically you're just shoving everybody forward for a yard. Football is built on having one-on-one collisions and seeing who can win. That's what people want to see too. They want to see you turn around, hand it off to your running back, and see a hole open up and a linebacker coming through, and you get a linebacker and a running back, and whoever is going to win is going to determine who gets the ball.
Yeah.
That's what people want to see. They don't want to see 7 guys in a 4-yard space line up and push the guy's ass in front of them.
So I'm going to piggyback off that because I was talking to my coworker about this. God. I'm sorry. I have so many thoughts on this. Listen, when I said it, he was like, yeah, but they had Saquon Barkley. He had the most rushing yards in the league. Well, let me tell you, if all those hits from those 1 yard gains add up over the course of an entire season, maybe he doesn't have gas in the fourth quarter to break a 75-yarder all the goddamn time. I'm just saying, it's possible.
Or maybe Kenneth Gainwell gets more carries.
Well, not anymore. He does not on their team anymore.
Steve brought up the Oklahoma drill. They don't do that anymore, but it's essentially the same thing. Like when you get to the NFL, people want to see mano a mano. They want to see the collision. That's why people watch it. They want to see the hits. They want to see who can come out on top physically, not just who can push their guy farther forward. That's what rugby's for. You get to the scrums where they push.
Yeah.
It's great that Jalen Hurts can squat 600 pounds. A lot of people in the NFL can squat.
Every single player that has ever attended the University of Wisconsin can do it.
Seriously, dude. Braylon Allen was doing it when he was 17, bro.
Okay, so we have the kickoff rule. The NFL is also going to electronic measurements for first downs this year. So if you get a chance, the UFL is already doing this. The NFL is essentially just adopting the same technology.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to electronically measure
the UFL has
downs.
added some value just for the fact that they're bringing different stuff.
Yeah, and it's a cool thing. It's like the review in tennis where you can see if the ball hits the line or not. You get the electronic view of the first down marker instead of waiting 10 minutes and a guy to come out with a fucking note card to be like, oh, not a first down. Like,
yeah, a multi-billion-dollar industry. It just sucks for the Bills that it kind of reminds me of our Fail Mary or the play against the Saints and the Rams. Someone had to basically get something torn away from them to have a change. Because, I mean, you got to be hard-pressed to find someone that says that Josh Allen didn't get that first down in that playoff game. Yeah. And most of them are just Chiefs fans. So, you know what I mean? Like, the only thing this will add in is, okay, now when did the knee go down? Essentially.
Yeah. Justin said, I'm sure Caleb is a fan of the tush push. Yeah, I'm sure he is. What was the third rule? It was the kickoffs, the first down markers. What was the other rule that they changed?
Well, they expanded
overtime.
They expanded.
Oh, the overtime. Yes, overtime.
Yeah, and they expanded replay assist.
Yep, they expanded that too.
Yeah. So that's where we're at with rule changes. The tush push thing is tabled until May, and the playoff seeding thing is tabled until May. So that's a couple things that maybe we'll be discussing after the draft that they'll be revisiting. Other than that, anything else you guys want to throw out there? Today was linebackers. Next week is D-line and edge, and then we have corners, and then we have live mock draft Tuesday before the draft. So anything else you guys want to throw out there?
I'm good, I think.
Alrighty. Well, like I said, we'll be back next week with D-line and edge. Jake and I will be live again tomorrow talking about the Bucks and the Brewers, who are both hopefully coming home with wins today. And then the Brewers have another game tomorrow before the show. So we will have 6 Brewer games and 4 Bucks games to discuss tomorrow. So join us for that as well. And then come back again next Tuesday for the next part of our draft series.
We're roasting fans tomorrow, so join us for that.
That'll be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you guys next week and tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
This baseball season, take a swing at picking sports with Underdog. Playing on their app is as easy as choosing higher or lower on a player's stats like strikeouts, home runs, hits, and more. Get all those picks right, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Millions of fans have already won billions on Underdog. Will you be next? Get in the game and find out by signing up for Underdog today using promo code ROUTE to claim a gimme pick as part of your first cash entry. Plus, up to $1,000 in bonus credits when you deposit. Cash in on every home run this season with Underdog. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona and Massachusetts, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.